Hey guys, it's Alex. Book haul number 5. The final giant box of books. Hopefully for a very long time because I cannot buy any more. It's a decent sized box, but the problem with this box is that it was one I got very creative with the packing, and they're packed quite tight. Going off my last book haul, figured I'd make this a trend. I have Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna. The second book haul in a row I've started with one of her books, and I still have no idea who she is. This is a women's fiction story, I believe, about two sisters who their father falls ill and he might die, and their mother has secrets, and it's like, how can a woman really know herself if she doesn't know her mother? Hopefully I like them, because if they're bad, I've already committed to reading them both. And what would a book haul be without Nazi Germany? The last time I saw Paris. I don't know what this book is about, but I saw Nazi Germany and was like, ugh, Nazis. I'll pick it up. Deception, betrayal, romance, the French Resistance. Lots of Nazis. Lots of romances, you can probably gather from the cover. Everyman by Philip Roth. This might actually be the book I start with for him, just because it is so short and quick. I don't know what it's about, but it's a novel. I really need to start reading Philip Roth at some point because I want to read, a bunch of his books. That's my plan. So, if I hate him, then I really need to, figure that out now so I can reevaluate said plan. Another Philip Roth book. I think I have, 5 of his books now. The Plot Against America. I am actually really excited to read this book. This one's the one I'm looking most forward to. It's basically around the principle if Charles Lindbergh became president. And the book sort of follows that, and there's a lot of anti-Semitism in here, because I believe Philip Roth is Jewish, and a lot of his books kind of center around Jewish people or anti-Semitism. I also picked up Best American Gay Fiction from 1996, that's edited by Brian Boldry. The first shop that I get my $5 box of books from is called Diversity Thrift, and they're a nonprofit, and all their proceeds go to whatever the LGBT plus group is in Richmond. Whenever I see a book like this there, I'm always like, oh, I should get it, just because it's diversity. But I really do like the anthologies of, Best American Blank from this year, and I have a couple of them. I don't know exactly what gay fiction is. It's probably just, prose, but I don't know. Hopefully there's some really interesting stories in here. I also picked up The Somnambulist by Jonathan Barnes. I feel like I've heard of this, or the author, and I picked it up because it looked familiar. Both the title and the author name look familiar, so I picked it up. And there's no description anywhere, so I don't know where I know it from, or if I'm just crazy. I also picked up Accused by Lisa Scottoline. I've only read one of her books, and it was absolutely horrific. It was a terrible book. I think I gave it 1 star. And this is in the same, series as that. It's got, the same character. The law firm that's in it is in this, and there's, a series around that law firm, kind of. But maybe this will be better. Sometimes trashy thrillers are good, and sometimes they're really bad, and hers was bad. But maybe this one will be good. I also picked up Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. This is, an old library copy. It's a little bit yellowed pages and a little bit falling apart. But I need to read Virginia Woolf. I really haven't, other than, a few excerpts in college and stuff, but Mrs. Dalloway is, one of the big ones that, if you're gonna read anything, you should probably read this. I also picked up America Anonymous, which is about addicts in America, and I think it's about, various addictions, not just narcotics. It looks like it could be a really interesting book. I'm hoping that it's not just, one of those junky, pseudo-psychology books, because if it's not, and if it's, well written with interesting insights, it could be, a really great book. And that's what I'm hoping for. I also picked up Code Talker by Joseph Bruchik, which is not Nazi Germany, but it is World War II. It's about a Navajo teenager. He becomes a code talker, which is basically the U.S. Marines started using the Navajo language as, code so that the Germans couldn't break it. And he becomes one of them, and it's about that. And that's just such, an interesting concept to me. I've read a little bit about that in the past, but not that much. And maybe this looks like it might be YA too. And I always try to grab the YA that I can find. But this looks really interesting. I picked up another YA book called Love, Maybe by Heather Hepler. It's just a cute little fluffy Valentine's Day story about a girl whose birthday is on Valentine's Day. She's very anti the holiday, but then she winds up having to get herself a date to cheer up her friend for some reason, and I'm assuming romantic hijinks occur. To continue with my young adult fiction, I picked up 3 of the Pretty Little Liars books. I believe these are the first 3. The books look like they might be like kind of dumb, but also entertaining, and that's mostly what I want. I also picked up a memoir, Green Suede Shoes, by Larry Kerwin. It was described as a rock and roll Angela's Ashes. That was the first line in the back, and I didn't read any further than that. I was just like, a rock and roll Angela's Ashes. That sounds awesome. Brutal Silence by Margaret Dardis. This is a thriller about a woman who is kidnapped in Mexico by human traffickers, and she manages to escape, and I believe she returns home and sets up a women's clinic, and then the human traffickers continue coming after her in her hometown, and it's a thriller. It looks like it could be kind of interesting. Equal Affections by David Levitt. I don't know what this is about. It has the annoying quotes from publishers on the back telling you how great this book and his previous book is, which is really not helpful at all, but I picked it up anyway. I don't know anything about it. Apparently, the family matriarch dies, and it's about the family, dealing with that, perhaps? I don't know. It's basically a mystery book. Another book I got was a biography of Bill Clinton called The Survivor by John F. Harris. I read Bill Clinton's autobiography when I was back in high school, and I was really left with the feeling that that man needed an editor like nothing else. But also, it was a really interesting book, and he had a very interesting presidency. And he's a great speaker. So I thought this book on him might be interesting as well. I really don't know who John F. Harris is, but he's from the Washington Post, so I'm assuming he's liberal. Maybe this will be an interesting biography. I haven't read many political biographies in the past few years. The Maze Runner by James Dashner. I've heard so much about this. I really don't know what it's about. I've never seen the movie. I've never even seen trailers for the movie. I've just heard a lot that it's there. And I don't know what the book is about, but I thought I'd give it a chance since it was, there. Add it to the box. Why not? I also picked up The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton because it's a classic, and I think I did a project on Edith Wharton when I was in middle school, perhaps, and I had no idea who she was. And I still only, vaguely have an idea who she is. I've never read anything by her. But I believe this is her most famous work, and I would like to give her a chance, at least. Text from Last Night, All the Texts No One Remembers Sending, by Lauren Leto and Ben Bader. This is literally just, filled of drunk texts. It's kind of funny. I flipped through it when I first got it, and it's the kind of thing that, I don't think it will have any lasting effect on me, but I could see myself sitting down to read it for, 20 minutes, because it's a real small, short book. Just 20 minutes, I think I could finish it. But it'd be an entertaining 20 minutes. And I got The Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. I should have read this by now. I really should have read this by now. I think my friends read it in high school for class. Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. I've wanted to read this for a long time. This was the one Anne Rice book I was kind of always on the lookout for. But this is the most famous one. I think there's a movie based on this, but this is the one that I was kind of told to look for. I forget by who, but someone was like, that's the one. So, this is the one I will read. The Island of Dr Moreau by H.G. Wells. Honestly, someone on BookTube was talking about this, a month ago. I don't know. I gotta read H.G. Wells, so I might as well read this one. It's really short, so it'll give me a quick little look into sci-fi. I believe this is sci-fi. I also picked up a really pretty box set that technically wasn't from this thrift store. It was from a different thrift store, but I figured I'd throw it on this haul anyway. But it is The Vampire Academy. It's a really pretty box set. Obviously, they've been read and sat around for a while because they're a tiny bit worn, but they're still really pretty. And it is missing the first one, but that's okay. I'll get the first one somewhere else, but I couldn't turn down a really pretty box set. I also picked up a copy of The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. I was reading the library copy of this, and I've had to return it like twice, I believe, because it was just taking me so incredibly long to read. And I'm really not enjoying it, but at the same time, it's important, and it's something that, like, I want to own, if that makes sense. I'll talk more about this book when I do a review on it. The Lost World by Michael Crichton. I have Jurassic Park. I haven't read it yet, but this is the duology. I'm 98% sure it's only the two of them, and the third movie is just, like, made up out of nothing. But I'm really looking forward to reading these books, because I have no idea if the movie is, like, really closely based on them or not. But since a lot of people don't know that the books even exist, I'm thinking they could be significantly different than the movies. I picked up another young adult book called I Never Promised You a Rose Garden by Joanne Greenberg. This is about a girl with schizophrenia who spends time in a mental health hospital. I've already read this, and I really, really love this book. I don't think I've read this in a few years, but it was one that I really remember loving, and it really touched me. I saw it and was immediately drawn to it, and I need to reread it because I can't tell you much about it other than I thought it was beautiful, but I do remember this as being incredibly beautiful. I couldn't resist picking this book up, even though I'm never going to read it, and I know I'm never going to read it because I literally cannot read it. I don't even know what it's about, but it's called Gebrauchs and Bison for America. It's a German book about America, and I believe it's about, like, the philosophy and psychology of America and what Germans think of America, unless it's an American book that's been translated into German, which it might be. I don't know, but, like, I just saw it in German, and I picked it up on the off chance that I ever actually learn German. It will be my second German language book. It's not like a German textbook to study. And I have one final book that I would like to not be judged too harshly for, because it is not in the best condition. And when I say that, I mean I have fairly low standards for the condition of the books that I buy, but this one is bad. It's Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace, and it's literally held together with tape. I wouldn't have picked this up except it's the first time I've ever seen Infinite Jest in any thrift store, and I really wanted to read it for a long time. It's one of those books that every pretentious literary person needs to read at least once in their life. And also the Decemberists have a song that the music video for the song and kind of the song is inspired by it. And I always feel like I can't fully appreciate that music video or that song until I read this book. And it's not in too terrible condition, but the cover is a little bit ripped in several places. I will read it though, and if I see a nicer copy somewhere, I'll pick it up, but this is the only copy of Infinite Jest I've ever seen in any thrift store. I'm very excited to own this and to read it, even if it's ugly and fragile. So that is my fifth and final of my 5 boxes of books. Let me know if you've read any of these books, or if you're horrifically judging me for buying that ratty beat-up copy of Infinite Jest. Because I judged myself a little. It's okay. Bye, guys.